This day in sports history. This episode is brought to you by the Sterling Soap Company. Sterling Soap is 100% natural and with a variety of bath soaps, shave soaps, beard balm, lotions, cologne, and many more personal care products in a large variety of scents, you're sure to find something that's perfect for you or that special someone in your life. Check them out at sterlingsoap.com. It's July 29th, and on this day in 1991, Oakland A's outfielder Jose Canseco was pelted with cups and greeted with a blow-up doll by New York Yankees fans. During the 70s, the Yankees became known as the Bronx Zoo, but that was due to what the players were doing off the field more than what fans were doing in the stands. Well, on this night, the zoo came to life. Now, to understand what happened on this night, you've got to go back a few months to May 10th. Hang on a second, let me hit my tape rewind button. Okay, there it is. Okay, so in May of 91, the New York press had been spying on Jose as he went into and then a few hours later out of the apartment building where Madonna lived at the time. Jose always seemed to be an easy target for the media, and the press went with the story of Jose and Madonna getting together, even though Canseco said nothing happened while they were together. Now, fast forward to... Okay, hang on a second, let me get a fast forward button. There. Okay. Fast forward a few days to May 13th when Canseco had to be restrained from going into the stands at Yankee Stadium after a fan who, he said, made fun of his Latino heritage. So now Yankees fans knew that they could get under Jose's skin, and they came to the ballpark with props on this night. There were a lot of taunts thrown his way throughout the game, along with some cups thrown in his direction, but one creative fan brought a blow-up doll wearing a blonde wig and a shirt that read, "I love Jose," to vaguely resemble the Material Girl. The game had to be stopped a few times due to the disruptions. Canseco did get the final laugh, though. He had a double and he scored, and the A's won 10-8. On this day in 1988, Bo Jackson did something that maybe only Bo could get away with. The Kansas City Royals were on the road in Baltimore. When Bo came to the plate in the fourth inning, the Royals already had a 3-1 lead. O's starter Jeff Ballard was still on the mound after allowing a couple of base runners, and now facing the imposing Jackson with his sequoia-like legs and his Paul Bunyan arms. Maybe Ballard was a little hesitant to throw a pitch, but he took a little bit longer than normal before delivering to the plate, and Bo asked for time. He didn't get it, so he did this.
Bo Jackson last year as a rookie set a Royals rookie mark with 22 home runs. He wanted to call time on that pitch and nailed it to deep left. Can you believe that? Incredible. He wanted to call timeout, held up his left hand to request time. He didn't get it. Swung the bat, hit out of the park, a 3-run homer. Talk about strength.
The pitch from Ballard was a lazy slider, and while Bo never took his eyes off of Ballard when asking for time, the fact he was able to gather himself in the moment, put his right hand back on the bat, and then connect with a mighty whack is impressive to watch. The Royals went on to win the game 6-2. This episode is brought to you by Firefly Books, and with you being a sports fan just like me, here's 2 suggestions for your next great sports read. If you love basketball, then you need to add Dave Zarum's book, NBA 75, The Definitive History. Uncover untold stories of triumph, controversy, and the greatest stars of the game. From the league's humble beginnings to its modern glory, it is a courtside seat to 75 years of NBA history. And if you're a golf fanatic, then you gotta check out Matt Adams' book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget. I've used it as a reference in this podcast over the past year for lots of stories that I've done, and I can tell you from experiencing it, this is a great book. Relive 50 of golf's most memorable moments through the eyes of the legends themselves. It's the closest you'll ever get to walking the fairways with the greatest to ever play the game. Grab your copy of NBA 75 or The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, available from Firefly, wherever you get your books. I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that you have never heard the name John McFarlan. Well, you may know of a John McFarland with a D at the end, but John McFarlan, ending in an N, is somebody I am guessing you do not know. And even if you were a baseball historian, it would be understandable if that name never popped up on your radar. He was not a pitcher of note. He never made it to the major leagues, and he pitched more than 100 years ago in the baseball hinterlands of Montana in the Arkansas State League. But he is notable for one thing that happened on this day back in 1908. You see, McFarlan was having himself quite a day, a great day. Details are a little scant for the game. McFarlan was on the mound for the Helena Hellions, and it's believed that the opposing team was the Pine Bluff Pine Nuts. It's also believed that Helena was up 6-0 heading into the ninth inning. Now, what is known is that McFarlan had faced 24 batters and retired 24 batters heading into the ninth. No walks, no errors behind him. He was working on a perfect game with 3 batters to go. He took care of the first batter in the ninth, 2 to go, got the next guy to fan on a third strike, 1 more to go for a perfect game, and whether John McFarlan was nervous, nobody knows. He was not a pitcher who was going to go write a memoir after his career was done. Again, what we do know is that McFarlan and the rest of the Hellions waited, and waited, and waited a little bit longer for the final batter to step to the plate. But nobody was coming. The final batter refused to step into the batter's box. Pleas were made. Harsh words questioning the manliness of the batter were shouted, and yet nobody stepped up. Pinch hitting didn't exist yet, so that probably wasn't even considered. After a few minutes, the umpire stepped out from behind the plate and declared the game a forfeit. John McFarlan was denied a perfect game because the last guy never came to the plate. It went down in the record books as a 9-0 win for the Helena Hellions by forfeit. On this day in 1996, Carl Lewis proved that age is just a number. Lewis came into the 96 Olympic Games in Atlanta not really knowing what was in store for him. At 35 years old, he'd slowed down quite a bit. He'd dominated the sprint events in the 84 and 88 Olympics, and of course he won the long jump gold in both of those games. In Barcelona in 92, he only competed in the 4x100 relay and the long jump, winning gold in both there. Now, 4 years later in Atlanta, Carl had barely made the Olympic team in the long jump, finishing 3rd at the trials. And then, in qualifying, Lewis came close again to being excluded. On his final jump to meet the minimum qualifier, it was more reminiscent of a 23-year-old Lewis, posting his longest jump in more than 2 years and was the longest jump of the qualifiers heading into the finals. But Lewis, who always seemed to rise to the occasion like his Olympic hero Jesse Owens, had more left in the tank. On his 3rd jump, Lewis jumped 27.89 feet to set a standard that none of his much younger competitors could touch. It wasn't close to the world or Olympic records, but it was good enough for gold on this night. With his win, he tied shot putter Al Order's record for winning gold in the same event in 4 consecutive Olympics. It was also his 9th Olympic gold medal, which at the time tied him for the most ever Olympic golds with fellow American Mark Spitz, Finland's Paavo Nurmi, and the Soviet Union's Larissa Letenaya. Of course, now Michael Phelps owns the most gold medals with 23. And on this day in 2017, Claire Smith became the first female sports writer to be honored by the Baseball Hall of Fame. She received the J.G. Taylor Spink Award for her work as a baseball writer, mostly with the New York Times. She also worked for the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Hartford Courant, and ESPN. Initially, when she started covering the sport, she was not even allowed into the locker room to interview players after the game. But she persisted, waiting until they opened and then doing her job. During her speech, Smith, an African-American woman, said, "I humbly stand on stage for those who were stung by racism or sexism or any other insidious bias and persevered. You are unbreakable. You make me proud." And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports Fun Fact. For a 16-year period from 1644 to 1660, pies were illegal to make or eat in England. Oliver Cromwell thought eating a pie was a form of pagan pleasure. And I guess he's not wholly wrong, but if eating pie is bad, I don't want to be good. Anyway, that apparently was a bad thing in ye old 17th century, and so pie makers and eaters could be punished. Not sure what that punishment was, but understanding the puritanical nature of Cromwell, it probably was not pleasant. As any good guilty pleasure that's been banned throughout history does, pie making went underground and into the black market during the dark 16-year period.
This has been an original Thrive Suite production.